Righto, there we have it. Evaporator out. So if you don't know, this is the bit that gives you the cool. So fluid comes in here as a liquid form. It's expanded. Actually, it's expanded by the expansion valve, which bolts in here. Long and short of it, you look up aircon yourself. But anyway, long and short of it, a rapid expansion of that gas from liquid to gas causes supercooling. And the fan blows over this and through various ducts inside the box here, which we now have empty, good, you get nice cool air. Now, like I said, I can't remember the name of this little device, but this is the second one I fitted to the car because this one actually smoked years ago. Hopefully it won't happen again, but I'm pretty sure you can still buy them. You can see all the crap and crud through here, just obstructing airflow. So now I've got it out, carefully blank this off, carefully pressure wash it and get rid of all this crap. Obviously that was foam they had on top of that shit that's just broken down and just be causing obstruction. I'll see if I can get this plate off without damaging the core. I don't know if I could be bothered making a new one up. Look, that's not really good. I might just put a new piece in there and weld it into place. It's going to be one screw in an evaporator box. It's really not going to make, it's not here nor there. The point of it is, but we'll convert it, seal it, and get it all nice cleaned up and hit it with, I don't know what I'm going to put on there. I might just paint it, I'm not sure yet, I'll have a think. Get the box all cleaned out and just start putting this thing back together. I think she looks worse than she is. I just wanted to note, as you're taking this thing out, I thought, how is this thing coming out? Because it was all coming loose. You need to feed this temperature probe back through where they put it, and they just simply jammed it in the core. That's all they've done. So that's this little bit there. I'll get some Scotch-Brite, clean that up, maybe hit it with a lanolin or something, I'm not sure yet, or just clean it up, full stop. So when you feed this back in, it's a bit of a trick. Just feed it in where they feeded it. There's the hole there, and it just slips in. There you go, you can see one-handed, right? So if you ever pull one of these things apart, I'm fairly certain I've never seen anyone pull one of these old XABC air conditioning boxes apart before. So if this helps someone, good. Time for a beer. Isn't that right, Tilda? Here's a good little baby. Alright, so trying to make some progress with the air conditioner unit here. Little annoyances. Clearly this thing was designed to never come apart again. So I've tried to get this shaft out of here, hoping there might be a couple of screws or something so I can pull the axle out so I can get this flap out and clean it up on the bench, because it's it had foam that had just rotted away. You can see the remnants up there. I'm trying to scrape it off. And I thought it'd be easier on the bench. But alas, no. If you have a look, they've welded it in position. So when they've built it, they've put the flap in, put the shaft on. It's held on with these little clips, which really aren't reusable normally, but if you're careful, you can. And that's welded there. So I guess that's that. I'm just going to have to clean it up in situ. It's coming up all right. It's a lot cleaner than what it was, so that's good. Interesting again, you know, they use this rubbish foam which is rotted away and the rotten old insulation, yet look at that rubber seal there. Fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that. That can stay. So where did we get with this yesterday? So cleaned up the back shell of it. Just got to clean up that rust while I brush it off, I guess, is what we'll do there. The heater evaporator and the cooling evaporators come up pretty well. I'll probably get some terps, probably bad filming there, some terps, and break that glue down. So they had some rubbish foam at the top of that. That's the foam rubber sock thing that the heater evaporator sat in. Look, it's got enough, what do you call it, integrity left in it that I'll just reuse that. I doubt you're ever going to find another one of those again. So it's intact enough that we can reuse it. What you doing, big boy? Hey, is it raining outside? Hey, good boy. So, and this is just some flaps. Well, actually, this is the support for the evaporator itself. And it was pretty badly rusted, and it did go straight in, there one screw in it, but I'm sacrificing one screw into it. It's not going to matter. Just get rid of the rust. And I've just sealed it, converted it, and hit with a bit of caliper paint, to be honest with you. I don't really care what it looks like as long as we've stopped the rust and she is what she is. And this here, this big piece, that's the spine for the console assembly, which has come along. I don't know how many glue repairs I've done to it with the metal set. But the thing is a lot more rigid just from repairing all the cracks. There's actually stuff going everywhere at the moment. So that's one of the cracks repaired on the back side of it. So I'll sand that and put another repair over the front side of it. Same with there. Same with there. That was a piece we've reconstructed. Same with the back of that crack there. Another piece that I've constructed. And that was snapped in two down here, if you can see that. So it's now just holding. I've done some butcher job there back in the day. I can't remember why I did that, but it's yours truly. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, and I don't know what happened here. That clearly got hot, and I don't know why. I think it might have been before my time, I'm not sure. So I'm going to have to, well, actually I'm not going to bother with it, because to be honest with you, when you put the cup back in, which we've repaired, and you can just see how much glue, it's not glue, epoxy I've used, because that was all missing. And that will actually sand up. Once we take the tape off, it'll come back pretty good. And it'll be pretty strong. As you can see, that's actually severed through there. But look at that. So this stuff's strong. Sand it up, look, it looks ugly at the moment, but when you put it into place, you're not really going to be able to tell. So once it's all sanded down, blah, blah, blah. So that will be fine. I think I've actually got a spare one of these hiding around somewhere. So I'm not sure if I'll use it yet. And there's that hole I might have been talking about before. You put your finger through to get the light switch out. So here's the light switch in here. I know it's a bit of a distraction, I do that all the time. But you put your finger up in that hole there. If you ever pull an XC apart, up there, I think XDs might even be similar, and you press on that little lug there. And that allows you to pull out the light switch. That's the trick to it, to get the dash off these things. I'm certain the XDs, and possibly XEs, are the same. XF's not, they changed them by then. Anyway, that's where we're at. It's slow and it's tedious, but everything's built around this air box, or the air conditioning unit. So I really need to get this right. So we're going to cut out some new gaskets. This is the manifold for it. Problematic trying to find rubber tube this size. That's a vacuum tube. The stuff I've bought, I went to a local auto shop. This is the smallest they have for vacuum tube, and it's just too big. So I might ring another supplier and see what else is out there. Do a bit of research on the net, but I really want to get this plumbed up. And I want to get the thing back in the car tomorrow, which would be great. You know, go back to work and all that sort of stuff. But I just want to get some progress. Anyway, that's where we're at. Alright, some progress. So I made the new seal to go into the flap here. It's just some foam rubber I had lying around both sides. This one here is just designed to sit down that hole. I just cut as best I could. I think that'll function just fine. That'll eventually sit down by itself. Box is pretty clean. I'll give it another quick hit. Now, bit of unorthodox sort of maintenance here. This is the controller, so switch, temperature control via that cable there, and the pneumatic control. Now, one of the hoses was cracked, so I'm just going to take this off. I've already prepared it. It's held in by one screw and this lug. And then the block, if you want to call it that, holds on to that little plastic valve or pneumatic controller. Now I've just sprayed the living bejeebers out of this with lanolin. I've spoken about that before. I just find it seems to help rubber. If not, wipe it in Armour All. Either. Now this particular hose here, the yellow one, that one, where my finger is, was broken right here. And I thought, what am I going to do here? So I ended up drilling it, the old section out. So broke it off there, it was already virtually broken. Drilled it out using a little wood drill of all things, just really carefully, really slowly. Then fed the hose back through, but more than, I thread it through about 1/2 inch. Then fed this one onto this bit of the manifold and then slid the block back down. Now the rest of the hoses aren't perished and snapped here. I don't want to use plastic tube, I don't want to use oversized tube, and I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So I'm just going to separate all these bits of tape and carefully examine and wipe down with Armour All, I guess, or lanolin, whatever, and just make sure that I've got no more cracks. Now I know, where am I, down here at the other end, I've got split hose. I think it's this one. No, that one's not too bad. Must be the other one. Yes. Yeah, there you go. That one's split, and so I've got my fingernail on it. Now you'll also notice, well you won't yet, but if you cut these short, the hole's about half the diameter, which is probably what causes the splitting. I do have plastic clear tube, which is the right diameter, but I'm at pains to use it, to be frank. I'm also not sure if this valve's really functioning. I'd run some vacuum through it. I might take that off and have a bit of a bowie at that one, I'm not sure. I'll have a look at the factory book and see exactly what it does. That said, the air conditioning was functioning last time we ran the car. I'll just throw in some upholstery glue in here just to position that back down. I forgot to fold it back up. There you go. And with the evaporator unit, so what I'm doing with this is I'm going to leave this hooked up but separate to the controller. I'm going to take a punt that I can feed this through into the dash. It comes out that hole there. Obviously this sits the other side over. I've got it all messed up, doesn't matter. And I can just bolt it back on with that one screw that holds it in, back onto here. So it just locates there, screw hole there, and the little fork sits into that little arm there. I'll do it in the car. Now I've just sprayed that with lanolin yet again. I'll wipe it clean. This was rust converted. I've painted it this morning, and I'll put lanolin down just to hold water at bay as best we can, and put some new bolts in here. That's just burnt off bloody glue. I used a heat gun to dry it out properly, blowtorch, beg your pardon. So now I'm going to put this back in. So we're going to reconstruct. At the end of the day, it'll work just fine. It's in pretty good nick overall. So I've just got to start reassembling this thing. It's nice and clean now. I'm not going to get big plumes of bloody dust. I'll do a bit more clean before I put it together, but you know, I think she'll be right. Sorting these tubes out will be the big issue, so I just want to get it back in one piece and then we'll play. This can go and sit back in the car and we'll think about that. In fact, I might even mount that before I put the dash back in. I'll have a think about that. Alright. Now this is an example with Labradors. Don't leave your boots outside. They just won't last. Monsters. Sorry about the background noise, but she's freaking cold today. It's been raining all day. The Labradors have been running around it, soaking wet. What I ended up doing with the seal was putting it in a sandblaster, and that worked fine. That cleaned it up pretty damn well. I don't have any foam rubber that's really this thickness, and at the end of the day the thing was still pretty much in one piece. So what I'm going to do is use some body sealant, the old Sikaflex, run a bead, place it down where it's lifted, fill it in, and I think that'll be a good outcome. At the end of the day, it's the back cover for the air conditioner box. Move the valve out of the way. I've got to mention, I got this stuff the other day from Clark Rubber. This is going to be for the firewall seal, which will go on the back of that again, which we have a template down there for. That's that one there. It's got the heat shielding on it, and then we've got this thicker stuff to go under that to make up for the insulation that was there in the first place. So that's what we're going to do here. Just glue it in. This stuff dries pretty quick, dries well, and it's designed to hold water in. That's what this thing tends to get in it, particularly on the evaporator side, from the air conditioner, that is, not the heater box. So the little piece that was missing out of that filled that in nicely. That's nice and snug, no problems there. This should work out all right. That's come cleaned up well, and just all I wanted to do was treat the rust. Really clean it out, treat the rust, replace the seals are in here, and we've done that, and that's sitting fine. So gee, it's been laborious. Just things like, I should have mentioned, cleaning all the gunk out of the fan. I end up using a Armor All cleaning, there we go, one of these little things, and a screwdriver, stuffing it in, rubbing it in, rubbing it in, rubbing it in. It's come up pretty well. It was just thick layered of combined 40 years of dust, and then of course the panel beating dust as well. So never had the shed in such a mess. I've never had just so many projects going on. I think this will be the worst of it. Just the amount of pieces involved with the dash assembly is just phenomenal, and they're all quite sizable, and they all need treatment, especially considering the age of the car, and if you want your air conditioner back, and I do. So that's where we're at. They are just soaking wet, absolutely soaking. Anyway, we can't whinge about the rain, we need it. Righto, it looks like we're having a little bit of a wind. So I bought a bunch of tubing to try and replicate, or beg your pardon, replumb all the pneumatic valves for the air conditioning system. I've got some silicone tubes, it's a fuel tube, very robust, and it manages to go over the fittings, but like I said, I was at pains to use anything but a black tube. Now this I bought from a hydraulic shop, and it's a hard plastic, aka what they use in new cars, but it didn't want to go over, so simple application of the heat gun and we'll go over. And there we should have, I'm going to use this stuff particularly in the engine bay. So there's two lines, and this happened to be one of them, which is why this one was all perished. I had it incorrectly marked engine vac line, not the case. This one was actually for the water tap, hot water tap, and as you can see, it's just perished. Wherever it was out in the engine bay, it's just knackered. So that's one, put a bit of tape on it, and that will then feed through, or I've already fed it through this little tube here, which then goes out here, and obviously that goes through the firewall, and then the heater tap sits about there. Good. So now all I got to do is just go back through. I'll examine these really carefully. Anything that's got a bit of a crack in it, she's got to go. We'll bin it, but we're not looking too bad around the actual control tap. And what I'm hoping to do once I get all this hooked up is blank the ends to the water tap and the engine, and put a little vacuum pump on and move this and see if we get all our diaphragms operating. I'm not sure I'm going to get enough vacuum out of a hand vacuum pump as against as opposed to engine manifold suction, but we'll see how we go. I'll give it a go. It'd be nice to be able to bench test this and see it, you know, each actuator does what it's supposed to do. That would be terrific. I've just noticed I haven't cleaned out the back side of that. Bugger, need to do that. All right, but that's good. For finally got this stuff fitted. I was a bit concerned about applying a heat gun to it. Shouldn't have been. It's just fine. And the factory book is a great help here today, because this is a schematic of how to wire this thing up to all your actuators. It shows the control piece there, engine vacuum. There's the water tap there that we've just made that line for. It went down to the back of this little vac switch, which I've now hidden under here. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. It's just a matter of following the bouncing ball. Follow the schematic, and we should be absolutely back to factory, hunky-dory. Good. I was just looking down here and thought, oh yeah, it's not clean. I've missed this side of this flap. And I went, well, that's really interesting. There seems to be something down there. That's interesting looking FOD. It's a 22 round. Still live and bent. Pretty frickin' dangerous, really. Hollow point. I'll get that disposed of appropriately. I don't own a gun. I know what the round is. Yeah, there you go. The people I bought the car off were using it. They were farmers, so I'm not too surprised. It's not the sort of thing you find in your airbox every day. A 22 round. There you go. All right.
Righto, so I've got the old Fairlane running, and I've hooked into the manifold short, long runner vacuum actuator there to get a good vacuum source. I've just run it through and everything works. Absolutely everything works. I'm going to attempt to film this, but it could end up in a disaster. So I think, there you go. We'll start there. So that's one of the directional flaps for heater. And as you can see, that's functioning. Now that's a 2 position based on this actuator here, which has got 2 ports, the top one and the bottom one. And from memory, you go to the next one, it'll go half. And the next one, it'll come all the way up. And the next one, there we go, that actuated. And if you saw that, that's the fresh air. Back out, back in. In my hand I have the heater tap. I'll probably have to blank that to get this one to work. No, there you go, that one works as well. And I think that's the one that goes from demister to fresh air ducts, because you've got different ducts that hang off this. We are 100%. This thing works as per it should. The only thing I haven't tested is this little switch. Probably should get a multimeter and put across that, just make sure it is functioning. I'll do that. So that's a little switch there that fires the compressor. But I've got a modification for this anyway, where I've intercepted it with this wire. I'll make it neater next time, because I wanted to override this when we're in demist mode to make the compressor run, just like a modern car. And it was a mod I did many years ago, and it does the trick. So you get that dry air from the compressor when you're trying to demist. So I'm really happy with that. I've run the fan, it works. The aircon box is serviceable. Fan bloody tastic. Good old Fairlane. Actually, she's done 500 Ks this week, the old girl. She's going really good. So I'm really happy about that. We can on now, get the floor prepped and get this thing installed.